Let's talk about virtual private cloud. AWS Virtual Private Cloud provides an isolated and secure network environment for your applications and data in the cloud. Virtual private cloud is one of the core components to host the applications on the AWS environment. Amazon Virtual Private Cloud is a service that allow you to create a virtual network in the AWS cloud. VPC support both IPv4 and IPv6 address types. With VPC, you can launch your own EC2 instances in a virtual network. You can assign your custom IP ranges to your network and configure the security and access control on your VPC. VPC allow you to customize your network settings such as IP address range, subnet, route table, network gateways. VPC allow you to create a secure, isolated environment within AWS cloud and still allow you to access the internet and other resources within the cloud environment. VPC allow both private and public subnets. So if you want to have some applications that can't communicate or can't be reached over the internet, or if you want to have some applications that are accessible from the internet, you can do both. If you have servers in private subnet that need internet access, you can use the network address translation or NAT function for those private subnets. And there are multiple ways that you can actually establish a connection to your data center. You can create the multiple VPCs and connect the VPCs to each other with pairing connections, or you can use the transit gateway to enable the communication between multiple VPCs. There are multiple core components in a VPC that helps you to create the private network in the AWS cloud. Subnets. VPC is divided into one or more subnets. You can launch the resources such as EC2 instances into a subnet. Network address translation. VPC enable the instances in a private subnet to connect to the internet or other AWS services using NAT services. Security group. A security group acts as a virtual firewall for your instance to control the inbound and outbound traffic. Internet gateway. An internet gateway is a VPC component that allow the communication between instances in your VPC and the internet. Virtual private network. A VPN connection or a virtual private network can be established between your VPC and your data center that allow you to secure the communication between the two networks. Elastic IP addresses. An elastic IP address is a static IP address designed for dynamic cloud computing. You can assign the same elastic IP address to an instance in case of an instance failure. VPC peering. VPC peering enable you to connect two VPCs together to allow the communication between instances in the connected VPCs. VPC flow logs enable you to capture the information about the IP traffic going to and from your VPCs. We will talk about these core components in more detail in the coming slides. So first, let's talk about subnet. A subnet is a range of IP addresses within a VPC that allow you to group the instances based on security and operational requirement. The subnet must be associated with a VPC. You can associate a subnet with a single VPC, but a VPC can have multiple subnets. Subnets are of two types: private subnet. Private subnet can't communicate to the internet. Public subnet. Public subnet can communicate to the internet. A subnet can be associated with a route table, which controls the traffic routing for the subnet. You can create the subnet in one or more availability zones, providing high availability and failover capabilities of the applications hosted within that subnet.